Hi friends, today we're going to be talking through how to multiply a two-digit number times a two-digit number using the partial product strategy. So we have our steps listed over here on the left, and step 1 reminds us that we need to break our factors into expanded form. So I'm going to start by splitting up that 37 into its component parts. 30 plus 7 is how we write that in expanded form. And then I'm going to look at my other factor, 23. When I break up that factor into its parts, I have 20 plus 3. All right, we've now completed step 1. Step 2 tells us that we're going to be multiplying each part of one factor by each part of the other factor. So we're going to start with this 3 here. I like to start with my ones. So I'm going to take this 3 and I'm going to multiply it by the first part of my factor up here. So I'm going to take 3 times 7 and I'm going to write down this multiplication sentence down here to remind myself that this is, I have taken the 3 and the 7, each part of one part of the top factor and one part of the bottom factor. Next, I'm going to take that same part. I'm going to take that 3, but this time I'm going to multiply it by 30. I'm going to multiply it by the other part of my top factor. So I'm going to do 3 times 30. Now that I've used this part of my bottom factor and multiplied it by each part of the top factor, I'm going to do the same thing with the 20. So I'm going to take 20 times 7. And then finally, I'm going to take that 20 again and I'm going to multiply it by 30. Now I have multiplied each part of my bottom factor times each part of my top factor. Now that I've written out each of these multiplication sentences to find each of my partial products, I want to mention how important it is that we line up our ones, our tens, our hundreds as we multiply, because that's going to be important when we get to that third step. So I'm going to do 3 times 7, which gives me 21. Notice I'm lining up my ones, I'm lining up my tens with the numbers in the original problem. I have 3 times 30. I'm going to look at the 3 times 3 is 9, the 0 because it's a multiple of 10. Again, lining it up carefully. 20 times 7. I know that 2 times 7 is 14 with a 0. So I'm going to carefully line up 140, 140 is that partial product. And finally, I'm going to do 20 times 30. 2 times 3 is 6 with 2 zeros gives me 600. Again, lining it up as carefully as I can, which takes me to my last step, adding the partial products. I'm going to draw a line underneath. 1 plus 0 is 1. 2 plus 9 is 11, plus 4 is 15. I can regroup. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 6 is 8. My answer is 851. I want to check to see if my answer is reasonable. So I'm going to quickly do a little bit of mental math. I'm going to round 37 to 40. I'm going to round 23 to 20. And I'm going to make sure that my answer is close to this estimate. So 40 times 20, 4 times 2 is 8 with 2 zeros. I see that my answer is close to my estimate. That tells me that I have done my job. And this, my friends, is how you use partial products to multiply two two-digit numbers.